I'd like to talk about disturbing things and how to come up with them. Certainly, Never-Ending Nightmares is very disturbing, and that was intentional. And there's a lot of disturbing stuff in horror games, and it's one of the genres in which that's a positive thing. But and certainly for Never-Ending Nightmares, I drew on a lot of personal experience in dealing with my mental health and some of the problems with obsessive compulsive disorder. But that's not something everyone can do, and that's not something I did for everything. And I think there's a lot of sort of inspiration everywhere for disturbing things, and at least I personally have found TV and not like horror TV, but actually like crime shows can be a pretty good inspiration. Like everyone was really excited about the X-ray moves for Mortal Kombat, and I thought they were really cool personally, but if you think about it, it was something they already did on CSI. So even, back in like 2000 or whatever, they were doing that on CSI, where they would show inside the body and the path the bullet would take and the damage it would do. So I don't know if anyone at NetherRealm Studios is a CSI fan, but certainly you could, draw that parallel. You could definitely get influenced by that. And, personally, I found Criminal Minds to be rather inspirational in some things, because they deal with some really twisted, serial killers, and like there was one about, and I can't pronounce it, removing the eyes. It's like inoculation, but that's getting a shot, so that's probably not it. But and that somewhat influenced sort of the ghost without the eyes, and also that was influenced by, I had this children's book, Scary Stories to Tell in the Dark, and I think they replaced the illustrations in more recent editions, but there was like this picture of this woman with no eyes or something like that, or just this rotting zombie face, which like terrified me from way back when, and it sort of stuck with me. So I guess children's books can be disturbing, but as I've said, because I looked up to find the illustration, and I think that people were complaining that in newer versions of the book they sort of made it more kid-friendly, which, as a child, I think I would have preferred the kid-friendly thing rather than being, like, terrified of this book that I might accidentally open up the page to this grotesque thing. But, I mean, obviously, horror movies, I watch a lot of horror movies. I watch a lot of bad horror movies, but one thing that I think, is I try and keep an eye out for interesting things from horror and things that I could do, and I create like a notebook. So I use OneNote for organizing all my thoughts, and so I have a OneNote file that's just called like Scary Ideas. And then, I just list everything, that I've thought of, and the things from other media that I thought were interesting, even like sounds that I thought were cool, I write those down. And then, so when I'm trying to think of something, interesting, or something, gory, or things need a little punch, or spice or whatever, then I can go to my file and I can say, well, this is what, here's some ideas, and then I always have that to go back to, and I still have the file from Never-Ending Nightmares. I think it was in the designer notebook add-on thing, if you got that, but, I mean, there's a number of ideas that I didn't use that I think, I still could use, so that's good. I don't have to start from scratch there. But yeah, I mean, I think it's to some extent, right, like, it's really tough for me, and I imagine for a lot of people. If I say come up with disturbing things, come up with 8 ideas that will really churn people's stomach, and that's not my intention when creating these games. And we actually had some stomach churning stuff in Devastated Dreams, which we sort of took out because we didn't feel like it was consistent with the goals of the project. But whatever, that's not something I could produce very easily. So I find that just sort of remembering that I'm always on the lookout for that, and writing them down when I come up with it has been very helpful. I don't know how useful this is to other people. I don't know how many people are creating horror works of art, but it's definitely a technique I would recommend if that's something that you're interested in. So anyway, thanks for watching.